This is Cambridge A level, computer science, and paper 4, that is practical paper. Code is 9618 and variant is 41. This is May June 2026. Programs store integer data in a linear queue. The queue is created as a global 1D array with spaces for 10 elements. How many elements are there? 10 elements. Means you have one array and that array contains 10 elements. The queue has a global head pointer. One is head pointer, and head pointer should be initialized -1. -1 means when you will create this head pointer, that time you can give a value. That value should be -1. That points to the first element in the queue, and that will be the first element that will pointing out to the first element of the queue. The queue has a global tail pointer, another pointer, that is tail pointer, and this one is also initialized to -1, that points to the last element of the queue. The main program initializes the 10 elements of the queue to -1 and initialize the 2 pointer. Okay, for example, what you will do in this question, you will create one array or list. How many elements should be there? There should be 10 elements. Okay, how many elements? Index start from 0 to 9, and you will write the value inside this -1, all will be -1. And you can set 2 pointer with the name of head pointer and tail pointer, and value should be -1. Okay, the value of that pointer should be -1. Actually, in other languages like Java, there is no index in minus. Okay, but in Python, -1 index mean that will be the last element. Okay, here the concept is giving to that one, means right now these pointers are not point out any value. Your question is, write a program code to declare the global variables and initialize the queue and its pointer. I have written this program in Python. First of all, I have declared a queue. List name is a queue, and I have given a value to each element 0. And how many spaces are available? 10 spaces. By doing this one, you will find one list, and that list name is queue, and elements are 10 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And index start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Next one is head pointer value initialize -1. Okay, head pointer value is -1, and tail pointer value is also -1 according to the question. And for index, what I did for index in range, I have used here a loop in range 10. This means it will start from 0 to 9. Range 10 means it will start from 0 to 9, and by using this index, Q is the name of the list, and index is the index of this queue, and they will put -1. By using this code, by using these two lines, you will get -1, -1. All the elements contains the value -1, -1, -1, and -1. Okay, and two pointers are there. One is head pointer value is -1, and another one is tail pointer value is -1. The part B is the function enqueue perform these tasks. You will write a function enqueue. The function name should be enqueue and these should be perform these tasks. Takes in integer parameter. You will pass integer parameter. Okay, and check if the queue is full. What you will check inside the body, you will check that if the queue is full, return boolean false. If the queue is full, when queue is full, it will return false, otherwise it will return true. Store the parameter in the queue. What you will do, you can store the parameter, that value, in the queue, update the appropriate pointer, and return boolean true if the queue is not full. If the queue is not full, it should be true. If the queue is full, it should be false. And you will store that value into the queue. For example, just I want to give you the example. This is a list. Okay, first of all, it should check these two conditions. Queue is full. If queue is full, it will return false. If queue is not full, it will return true. Okay, and it will store first element. For example, you want to store the first pointer is at this point, that is tail pointer. Tail pointer will move to the next element and then will store the value, suppose 40. Okay, next, when you will enter again value, it will check these two conditions. Mean it will check whether queue is empty. If queue is empty, then it will return true. If queue is full, then it will return false. And if it is empty, then move tail pointer to the next position and store the next value. All the time you will increment by tail pointer to move to the next index. I have used def keywords that is used to define a function, and enqueue is the name of the function. Name of the function and data is the parameter. And these three variables are using as a global variable. Global variables mean you can accessible at any function. Okay, queue, head pointer, and tail pointer. First of all, according to the given conditions in the question, first it should be checked whether queue is full. When queue is full, when tail pointer equal to 9, if tail pointer will reach to the last point, means if you have the elements, means 1 0 1 and so on, ninth element, and tail pointer, if tail pointer is point out to this element, it means it will return false. Okay, and return false, and after this the function will stop. The next all the statement will be removed, will be skipped. They will not move to this point if they will return back. Okay, and if they will not return back, then it will move to the next line, that is if head pointer equal to -1. As you know that at the beginning we have put head pointer at -1. Okay, then what you will do, move to head pointer to this location, that will be 0, and tail pointer will increase by 1. Tail pointer will also increase by 1. Okay, and then what you will do, at tail pointer index, use the tail pointer as an index of the queue and store the data. If data is, suppose you will pass 40 and it will store here 40. If you will pass another elements, that is 50, it will store 51 by 1. You can pass one element at a time. Okay, and then it will return true. From this point it will move back to from where the function has been called. Part C is Write program code to extend the main program to take 11 integer as input from the user. You have to take 11 values from the user. Use the appropriate function to insert each integer in the queue. You have to use appropriate function. Appropriate function means that you have already built in part B. Output a message if any point the queue is full. Output the final content of the queue array. Do not dequeue the data. Okay, and you will enter these values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the complete program where I have used define enqueue data. Okay, and then these are three global variables. One is queue and other two are variable. And here I'm checking that if the queue is full, then return false, and then add first element and move to head pointer at 0 location, and move to tail pointer at the next location, and then store the data. Then we have written a main program. In main program, as you have seen that this is a question 1 A question, and then we have initialized the value with -1, and this is the question that is 1D. Input 11 integers. For count is a variable that is used to control the loop, and loop will start from 0 to 10. And this value will ask as an input from the user. This is just a message. You can display any message. Input is a function and integer is used to typecasting. By default, the input function used to return string value. I want to convert it into integer value. That's why I'm using integer function. And it will store the value in form of data variable, and that data should be enqueue. Okay, what I'm going to check, I'm going to check that if enqueue of data equal to false, means here I am calling a function. Which function is calling? That I have declared at the top. Okay, because this function will return false or true. Okay, two value, maybe false, maybe true, and that I'm checking that. If it is false, if that above function return a false, then it will show queue is full. Okay, otherwise it will show the output. Okay, now I'm going to run the program. I'm going to run the program, and it will ask me integer, and as given in the question paper, I should use the values. That should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I have entered 10 values. Now I'm going to enter 11th values, means no, it's 10th values. I'm going to enter no 11th values. In case of 11th values, it display me queue is full because the maximum value is 11. Mean 10, 0 to 9, that should be 10. You can see the full program. This is a full program, okay, including the main function. Main program start from this point, that is line number 17. Before of this, I have written one enqueue function only. The D part is the function dequeue. Dequeue means you want to delete a value from the list. It returns -1 if the queue is empty. If the queue is already empty, it will return -1. And update the pointer and returns the next item from the queue if the queue is not empty. If queue is not empty, just you want to delete that element and then update the pointer. Write a program for code. This is the dequeue function. Dequeue function is used to delete the element from the list. These are two global variables that we have already defined. And first of all, it will check if queue is empty. Head pointer equal to -1. If the value of head pointer is equivalent to -1, then it will return -1. And -1 shows that the queue is empty. Okay. And if queue is not empty, then it will move to the next lines. Get item from the front of queue. Okay. Then what will do? It will give the element that is point out by the head pointer. Head pointer is that place that will store into the data. Suppose in this case, just I want to give you one example. You have 3, 2, 3, 9 and so on elements are there. For example, head pointer is pointing at this place. Here is head pointer. In this case, what head pointer will return? Head pointer will return 3. Okay, 3 will store into the data. And then it will check if this is the last element. In case of last element, if head pointer equal to tail pointer. For example, this is the last element. Last value is suppose 10. Okay. If head pointer is at this point and tail pointer is located at this point, then what you will do? If head pointer equal to tail pointer, then head pointer and tail pointer should be put -1. Okay, -1 means it will go to the initial stage or initial position. Else, head pointer move to the head pointer to the next element. In case if head pointer is here, what head pointer will do? Head pointer will move to the next element, that will be 9. Okay. Next part is write program code to amend the main program to take 6 integers as input from the user and store them in a queue using the appropriate function. Appropriate function means that we have already defined a function with the name of enqueue. Enqueue function is used to enter the value, while dequeue function is used to delete the value. Then use the appropriate function to remove 4 elements. They're telling that 4 elements, remove the element. Remove the elements mean which function we will use? We will use dequeue function. Output each removed element from the queue. Okay. Now what I will do, I will enter these values 100, 10, 5, 6, 8, 18 and 68. Okay. Now I'm going to run the program. This is the main program. Here I'm taking 6 integers and add them to the queue. How I add them? By using the function enqueue. What value I will store? Data value. From where I can get the data? Data is used to get the data from the user. Okay. How many times? Because here is a loop and this loop will execute 6 times, 0 to 5. This means it will execute 6 times and all the time they will ask to user to enter the value and that value will be stored into the enqueue. Enqueue using enqueue function stored into the queue. After this, I'm going to remove the elements. Remove the elements mean I should call dequeue. Dequeue. Okay. How many times I need to run? I need to run this 4 times. That's why I have written 4. Okay. Data and what data is going to be deleted, that need to be printed here. Okay. I'm going to run the program. This is program. Okay. First of all, I want to show you the complete program. This is the program that we have done in part A, and this is the program enqueue function that is used into the part B. Okay, and then this is the dequeue functions that we have done into D or E part, I think. Okay, and this is the main program where they are need to be entered. Here I am going to enter 6 value, and here I will remove the 4 elements. I'm going to run the program, and what should be the value? Value should be, I think, 100. First value is 100. First value is 100. Second value is given 10, 5, 6, 18, and 68. Okay, and they are showing me these 4 values have been removed: 100, 10, 5, and 6. Okay, you can see the program. This is used to enter the value. 6 elements I'm going to enter. This is used to remove the values, and this is dequeue functions, and this one is the enqueue function. Okay, and this is the initialization of the list.